Some movie review for you. This is the 1961 movie A Raisin in the Sun. It's directed by Sidney Poitier and it's based on a play written by Lorraine Hansberry, and Lorraine also wrote the screenplay and the cast. It's an all-black cast. In fact, it was very much a movie that broke all the typical perceptions of how the movie should be made. Very radical, and it stars Sidney Poitier in the lead role as Walter Lee Younger. His mother, Lena Younger, is played by Claudia McNeil. His wife, Ruth, played by Ruby Dee, and his sister, younger sister, Benitha Younger, played by Diana Sands, and then Benitha's romantic interest, Asa guy, played by Ivan Dixon, and there's a few other people in the. Travis Younger is the son of Walter and Ruth, and he's played by Stephen Perry, and I think that probably covers it. This movie, as I said, very radical movie in terms of the first all-black cast, really to focus on the issue of civil rights, racism, and all the other baggage that exists in American society at that particular time. We're talking about in the early 60s. Typically got into the award system. In the Golden Globes, nomination for Claudia McNeil as Lena, and for Sidney Poitier as Best Actor, and the BAFTAs. It was nominated for Best Foreign Actor for Poitier, and for Claudia McNeil as Best Foreign Actress. It also did quite well at Cannes 1961. It won the Gary Cooper Award for Sidney Poitier, and it was a nominee for the Palme d'Or. Conspicuous by its absence, of course, was the Oscars, where it wasn't seen. Maybe that's got some thing to do with how Hollywood viewed this scenario. I just want to read a poem which was basically written by Langston Hughes at the time, and it reflected the state of American society if you were living in Harlem. And I think it really focuses neatly on my review, which will follow, looking at the details of the movie. Here's the poem, Harlem, A Dream Deferred, by Langston Hughes. What happens to a dream deferred? Does it dry up like a raisin in the sun, or fester like a sore and then run? Does it stink like rotten meat, or crust and sugar over like a syrupy sweet? Maybe it just sags like a heavy load, or does it just explode? Well, food for thought there. And of course, in that poem we see the title of the movie, A Raisin in the Sun. So to continue with this movie review, A Raisin in the Sun. Firstly, I want to try and give some sort of shape to the characters. Walter, played by Sidney Poitier, he's a chauffeur. He drives for a very rich white male, and he does a good job, but he's so frustrated he does not want to spend the rest of his life like his father, who's recently passed away, working for a rich whitey, as he views. He wants to take on the responsibility of doing his own business, living his own dreams, and he is very frustrated. And he's a man about 35 years of age, and he's dying to take an opportunity, and one comes within grasp because his father, recently deceased, has basically, as part of the insurance, there's a significant amount, $10,000, about to be delivered on that life insurance policy to the mother, Lena, played by McNeil, and he is hoping and certainly really relying that is going to be offered to him, and he's already got a plan that he's made with a few of his friends, and they're going to open a liquor store and make a golden egg. So he's really motivated in this way, and that's how we find him at the start of the movie. His mother, played by McNeil. I'm just struggling with the name again, so let's just get it absolutely right. Claudia McNeil. The character name is Lena. She's a very sort of staid, elderly Negro woman who calls a spade, is a religious woman. She recognises her position. She recognises the downtrodden existence that she's had to suffer as a Negro woman, and she understands that the whitey is in charge, and she tries to make the best of that, but she is very, very reluctant to go down the route that her son wants to, because her religion suggests that a liquor business is not au fait with that, and she has made it perfectly clear that she is not going to help with that plan. Now to Ruth, played by Ruby Day, the wife of Walter. She is a very hard-working woman, passive to a considerable extent, is certainly in the shadow of her husband. She usually goes along with what he says. She is struggling to come to grips with the fact that he clashes regularly with his mother. They are both volatile personalities, and she is certainly not. She prefers to find the peace, and although she does at times get a little irritated with her mother-in-law, who tries to impose her sort of way with regard to child upbringing, she is nonetheless a very loyal partner. Beneath her, the younger sister is a woman that's reached sort of young adulthood and has dreams of becoming a doctor and escaping the poverty that the family are living in. They live in a very small, cramped couple of rooms in an apartment block, and she is desperate to gain some educational success to escape, but she's also a character that's full of self-confidence, albeit superficially, highly opinionated, and not afraid to confront her brother or her mother. And we follow an early conflict situation when she makes a statement which uses language that's not complimentary towards God, and her mother decides that she deserves a slap round the face for her impudence and her bad language. So, and she is also resisting the temptation to get hooked early into a relationship. She's trying to be perceptive, look at what men are available, enjoy her life at the moment without getting tied down, but she does have the desire to travel and to see the world. The family dynamics and the scenes that unfold cut across all the issues really. We have a look at ambition, at the support within the family. It's a strong family group. The self-worth of each member, and also a realistic view of black families in this American society. We also see emotions right to the bone, scenes where explosive emotions come to the fore. We particularly see that with Walter when his mother tells him in no uncertain words that she's not going to loan him the money for this liquor store idea. We then see how he boils over, and you can visually see that his self-image has dropped, and he looks and feels totally worthless, and he goes to a bar to swallow his lost pride and drink himself into a drunken stupor so that he can forget what he has just witnessed as his dreams are shattered. We also see a scene where his wife, who returns from the doctors and tells the family that she's going to have another child, and she suggests that she might well have an abortion, and the reaction from both her mother-in-law and, in a passive sort of way, a quiet sort of way, from her husband, really cuts deep into the whole notion about the sanctity of life, and I found that very, very moving. We also get a very strong mother-in-law, Lena, who's not willing to accept being pushed around, and is very quick to criticise her son, even in front of other members of the family. She describes him at one point as a disgrace to her father's memory, after he shows his anger and goes to the bar to escape his feelings of worthlessness. And to the bar we also witness when his mother finds out that he hasn't been to work for 3 days and is at risk of losing his job. She takes it upon herself to go to the bar, and she trusts once again in him and gives him a slice of the money that has been given by the insurance company, and tries to restore his sort of self-belief. And shortly after that we learn that he's been scammed of over half the money, but the family rally round after an initial hostility towards Walter, who's crushed not only the dreams possibly of moving to a different neighbourhood, but also his sister's dreams of going to university and being a doctor. And there's also a very crucial part of the movie which exposes racism so vividly. The mother has put a down payment on her property in another part of town, which is basically inhabited by the middle class white community, and they get wind that a black family are about to move in, and they send a representative from the committee around to try and buy them out. And it's such a strong scene. There's two scenes in fact, but the second scene, when Walter takes on the responsibility of being the head of the family and makes it clear in no uncertain terms that the property is not for sale. It's absolutely riveting. So The two major performances are of the highest calibre. Sidney Poitier has always been a fan of mine. I did a review of The Defiant Ones earlier this year, and also Blackboard Jungle, and so his work always astounds me, and this is one of the strongest performances I've seen by him in a role. How on earth the Oscars managed to ignore this film, I will never know. I think it's a particularly important movie in the increasing acceptance of ethnic minorities in the making of movies and successful movies. The print is excellent. The photography, most of the movie takes place in one room. In fact, virtually no, most of it is in this one room where things are very cramped, and it really captures the sort of close-ups and the emotional ties and the emotional entanglements within this family. I can thoroughly recommend it. And as far as 1961, I had not seen this movie before. It's now going to be in my top 5 for certain, and I thoroughly recommend you go and watch it. It's called A Raisin in the Sun.